All right, I don't really like making reviews because I'm a huge fence sitter most of the time, and I don't like to get into crazy topics because the comments can be very toxic as a YouTube content creator. But I'm not going to be around the bush on this one, at least a little bit. But I do want to get other people's opinions, and I did do some research on other people's opinions to kind of mesh with mine to see what the general public are feeling. Because I know that my opinion doesn't really matter, and I want to see what others are thinking. Anyways, as someone who's played Killing Floor 1 and 2 enough to understand the series, I thought Killing Floor 3 would be a lot of fun, so I jumped into the closed beta, which was earlier this year, and as we all know, there was a huge delay after that because of the feedback, which everybody hated the game. And then just yesterday, we had a 12-hour stress test that I just recently played, and it ended yesterday, and, well, I've been following the Killing Floor subreddit and checking my own YouTube comments because I've been covering Killing Floor 3 for like the last month or two now consistently. And the obvious sentiment for Killing Floor 3 is mixed, mostly disappointment and some hope and plenty of skepticism about whether Tripwire Interactive can deliver before the game's delayed release in 2025, which is literally 7 days away. I share some of that frustration, especially after the stress tests, but there are moments that keep me curious. That 5-year NDA they put out on the Sunday stress test obviously initially was a huge issue, but was also seen as a red flag by myself and the community. However, we do know after the fact that Tripwire decided to get rid of that, whether it was because of the backlash or by a mistake altogether. Now, the NDA for Sunday stress test hit the community pretty hard, I'd say. On Reddit, people were very, very, very upset, and as a content creator myself, the fact that I couldn't record or stream anything just was really crappy, someone who was kind of excited for the game despite the issues. I thought it was pretty weird because why are they wanting to hide any kind of feedback at this point? Because the game is literally coming out. There's no way there's going to be an even better, more improved build beyond the stress test, except for like maybe one with some minor changes. And I made a video on that. There's a huge list of known issues, and the devs have already confirmed that some of these are not even going to get fixed by launch. Check out that video, top right corner. At this point, people are saying that this is going to be Payday 3 all over again. Even people on YouTube, Reddit, everywhere you look, comments are Tripwire scared of bad press, and this screams corporate meddling, or it's gone too mainstream, it's lost its feel and vibe. But anyways, beyond the NDA drama, the game itself is getting a lot of flack from myself, but from others as well. And I noticed in the beta and stress test that Killing Floor 3 just doesn't feel like the Killing Floor that I know. Older games had the gritty horror-like vibe with gross Zeds, intense, careful combat with pack-a-punch weapons. But this feels like a slick sci-fi shooter, like way too mainstream and just trying to appeal to everybody this time around. The new Zed designs and clean, futuristic look lack that raw chaos that we'd love. I feel like the Zed designs, while some are clean, others just too futuristic that kind of don't really vibe with me. And a lot of people on Reddit call it generic and too corporate, and I agree, it is missing some of that dark, messy edge, but they have made changes. There's no lie about that. It's obvious that it's there because they literally changed everything from bright sunny day maps to dark maps. So they are headed in the right direction in that regard, but there's still something wrong. The gameplay. It's a huge issue. The specialist system, tying perks to specific characters, is like a massive backstep. Why is that a thing? Now, I'm not going to go into too much into that because we know that Tripwire has said they're going to back that out and we'll be able to do whatever we want. But when and how long is that going to take? After reading through all of the perks in Killing Floor 3, there are some really nice things. And as you level up your character, you will get freaking strong from what I could tell. But one thing I noticed was that you weren't really leveling up your perks until after the match. Versus like Killing Floor 1 and Killing Floor 2, those are actively leveling up as you're playing in the match. I also feel like while Killing Floor 3 is faster, it's also slower. Like you have your dodging and your sliding, which is great. Then I also feel like things got heavier, like the mantle. They changed that to be like a heavier, slower paced mantle, which is weird because I feel like this game in particular is supposed to be more run and gun and less tactical and just more headshot focused. But I felt like in the stress test, it was fun for a bit, but it just doesn't quite hit the same. If you were to ignore the jank and the performance issues, like I ended up crashing like 4 different times. Now again, when it comes to PCs, we all know that everybody's hardware is different, so some people crash more, some people crash less than others. I have a i7 13700K with 32 gigs of RAM and a 3070 Ti, so I'm not at minimum and I'm close to the required, but it's well above the minimum spec, so I should be able to play this game without any issues. Speaking of that, technical issues were something that I had a big concern with, and it's obvious that everybody else is too. While the beta definitely had some laggy performance and choppy animations and blurry visuals, the stress test was a bit better, and as I mentioned, they gave us a long list of fixes that they actually made, and I'm going to go over that in another video, which I haven't made yet, so stay tuned for that. A lot of people mentioning stuttering, clunky menus, low-res textures, and especially with Unreal Engine 5's tech making things look washed out. And everything's like so gray in the game, right? Like, if it isn't for the Zeds and the blood, everything else is just like a washed out gray. Now, I will say what cracks me up more than anything is how these guys feel the need to put out a monetization shop, a store, and a battle pass, or should I say, I guess, a supply pass, which is literally a one-to-one copy of Helldivers 2. And it just cracks me up that all of these things are there and working despite all these issues that everybody has with the game. Like, bro, get rid of the shop and bring it in later or something, or put it on a huge discount at launch, or I don't know. It just always feels bad. It just feels greedy and like a cash grab. Still, I do have some positivity. The stress test was an improvement over the beta. Combat did feel smoother, but just smoother than the beta, not smoother than, say, Killing Floor 1 and 2. And some of the weapons, like Dragon's Breath, for example, were fun to use. But the flame, like the flame in general, just wasn't great. Like the visual effects, I don't know. I feel like they need to go back to the drawing board on that. I did notice that few people on Reddit posts were saying that it was actually decent or better, and some of them liking the new maps and the weapon mods. YouTube comments were saying that it's passable or fun enough, and if you don't expect classic Killing Floor, this is a game that could be fun when it's on sale. A few fans on both platforms hope Tripwire will keep tweaking post-launch, and I'm cautiously hopeful too, though their track record makes me wary. It's obvious that myself and others think that this game has opportunity to get better, but we're looking at months away, right? 6 months to a year. We understand that Tripwire will continue to update Killing Floor 3. We've seen them do that with Killing Floor 2, with constant updates, DLCs, etc. They want this game to succeed as much as we want it to succeed. They just completely missed the mark. So what exactly am I saying here with this latest build, the latest stress test, and Killing Floor 3? Did they completely miss the mark? Yeah, basically. Are they getting back to the mark, though? I'd say they are. Are there issues like performance issues? I think so. However, after tweaking some settings, I was able to get well over 60 FPS with my current build. With that being said, the game still crashed for me, unfortunately, and hopefully that will get solved. Interestingly enough, I put out a post with a poll on my YouTube channel just to see what the verdict was after the stress test. And I put something along the lines of who's excited for Killing Floor 3, and I put no, hard pass, no again, and yes as the options. And we had 600 votes at the time of the screenshot. I'm sure there'll be more by the time the video actually goes out. And 61% actually said yes. So what I'm thinking here is the true cult following of Killing Floor probably don't like this because they wanted a really good Killing Floor 3. They practically wanted a Killing Floor 2.5 is really what it seems like. But for those that are familiar with the franchise, or those who will be getting into it for the first time, or those who just barely played it but were looking for a fun co-op shooter, I think they're gonna find it with Killing Floor 3. That's the thing. While the game may not be Killing Floor, it's still a horde wave-based shooter with some good ideas and will only get better over time. Now, am I saying go support it and pre-order this game? No, I'm not saying that. Am I saying go send death threats to Tripwire? No, I'm also not saying that. I think the game is just right in the middle right now. It's not great, it's not amazing, it's not horrible, it's not terrible. Are you willing to spend that money now, or are you willing to wait and spend it later? Or if you're like me who ends up maybe never getting it, then you'll probably never look back at this game again. But as a content creator who's been covering the game, I obviously plan on playing it come launch because I want to cover it. I want to see what they can do and how they can make the game better. Anyways, what do you guys think? More Killing Floor 3 content to come, and we'll see you the next one. Peace.